Okay, recording has started. Wonderful. Okay, now we don't need to worry that some people may miss out. As they come in, they can join us and so forth. Hey, Linus is here. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming and joining us for this as well. Okay, so essentially what we have in store is three amazing speakers, right? Gregor from HPE, we have Eric from AMD, and we also have Danny from Microsoft starting it off, right? But I just wanted to give us a little bit of, if you want, overview of where we're trying to head with this user group meeting, if you want. But as you can see from each branch, right, we are trying to look at remote desktop services as a key service, all right, that offers secure remote work offering to customers who are still doing their digital transformation, allowing users to work from home from anywhere now, with many countries coming back to a more normal, if you want. And of course, even from the perspective of how we would run the VDI and remote desktop on top of Microsoft's own HCI capabilities, and of course, some optimization and some additional capabilities with RDS and VDI using GPU, right, to accelerate some of the graphic intense applications like even Adobe Premiere, Adobe Photoshop, or even AutoCAD and so forth. Of course, the power of using a built-in capability on Windows Server as well as Azure HCI called data dedupe. All right, and those features come part and parcel with the solution, which means there's no additional cost, and customers are highly encouraged to turn it on where it makes sense. There are scenarios where data dedupe is discouraged, like say, for example, if we're running a SQL Server or database workload, right? We might choose not to put those virtual machine into a dedupe volume. Well, in other scenarios, we find that the dedupe actually helps a lot in terms of being able to give you more space for whatever that you have bought into. Okay, so that's an important thing to note. So why I call this whole combination, if you want, Windows Server 2022, Windows 11, and Azure HCI better, the best just got better, is because in Windows Server 2022, right, we have a lot more new capabilities, and some of that we will be featuring and talking about. But the security aspects, like with Secure Core and so forth, has made its way into a very strong set of layering of security capabilities on top of Windows Server, on top of Azure HCI. And that all come together really well to protect the virtual desktops that we have with Windows 11. So these are important capabilities that we will run on top of Azure HCI. And the latest version of that, and this is the Azure version, if you want, called 21H2. That's the current version of it, okay? Now, all of these come together to form a very, very strong remote desktop services with VDI capability. So Microsoft solution, if you want, in essence, is starting from Windows Server that gives us the RDS. And through this RDS, we can leverage Windows 11 as a virtual desktop OS. And you can run all of these, Windows Server 2022 and Windows 11, on top of Azure HCI, which is today still, we believe, the fastest HCI solution, right, money can buy. And we believe it's also the most affordable. The good thing with RDS is we have two different ways of deploying it. And the interesting thing is we can actually do both at the same time, right? One is publishing the app, right? We call it remote app, right? In some of the other, what they call remote desktop solutions, all right? Like Citrix, for example, they call it virtual app, all right? And of course, we have the virtual desktop capability, which is publishing essentially the Windows 11 or Windows 10 if the customer prefers, all right? Now, it's important to know that in the latest version of Windows Server, all right, powering up the latest Hyper-V 2022, which is the same hypervisor that Microsoft uses in Azure, provides amazing hyperscale capabilities. In a single node, we can go up to 48 terabytes of memory, okay, and up to 2048 logical processors in a 64 core, a 64 socket box. And each in the virtual machine level, we can go up to 12 terabytes per virtual machine and 240 virtual CPU or virtual processors. Now, these capabilities that we are able to do in Hyper-V is also available in Azure, right? Using the infrastructure as a service capability. So this hyperscale is ready anytime if the customer has an appetite to go to that level of scalability. Right, so these capabilities is amazing. So that's why this session is important for us to get started to understand that. All right, so we have three very important speakers in our midst. We have Gregor, all right, from HPE Regional, all right, that's going to talk about the experience, secure, agile, hybrid cloud for apps and data. All right, and we have Eric Sugiono of AMD, also from the regional office based out of Jakarta. Right, he's going to talk about boosting your hybrid cloud and virtualization with AMD Epic. And of course, we have Danny, all right, from Microsoft Regional, based out of Singapore, who is going to talk about the most complete and multi-cloud management for Azure HCI, essentially, AKA, if you want, Azure Arc. And of course, then the rest comes back to myself, Chua, Ko, and Linus, all right, to do the rest. Okay, so that will take us all the way to the end, right? Please feel free to drop us any questions if you have any, right? It could be licensing related, it could be technology related pertaining to this area, and even general questions around Windows Server or Azure CI would be good. All right, this is a user group meeting, so we want to try and make it as casual as possible. Right, don't worry. All right, we won't get upset if you ask questions that is not closely related. But I thought we can start off by having a trivia question. So this year happens to be the 47th year or birthday for Microsoft. Okay, anyone knows where is Bill Gates in this picture? You can drop it into the chat window if you don't want to unmute yourself. But I think it's obvious for those of you who have seen Bill Gates even in recent days, he looked quite similar even back then, okay? And he's the one in the bottom left corner on this picture. Okay, now the other founder of Microsoft is someone called Paul Allen. Anyone knows? In fact, Paul Allen is a very quiet, very, how do you say, an individual that kind of left Microsoft a long time ago, but he was very pivotal in helping and working alongside with Bill Gates to get Microsoft going. Okay, for those of you who don't know, he's on the other side of the picture, right, in the other corner, all right, and that's Paul Allen, okay. So that takes us to this particular session, which we calling it Amazing 2022. Why? Because we have those three very special solutions that we want to talk about. So we have Chua, we have Ko, and of course, we have our very special speakers, right? We have Gregor, we have Eric and Danny. So feel free to ask questions, be interactive if possible, right? Because we want everyone to get the most out of this, all right? So let's start with Gregor, all right? Gregor sadly is unable to join us in person, all right? So he has actually specially recorded this session for us, okay?
Hi everyone and welcome
Can
to the
all
Microsoft
of you
Hybrid
hear?
User Group session. My name is Gregor and
Yeah,
I'm
we can hear
basically
you.
responsible for the APJC category manager for Microsoft OEM product and solutions. Today from HPE, we like to share more on the experience of secure agile hybrid cloud services from HPE for your business and data. As you can see, the pace of business and change is growing too fast today, where billions of people, devices, and things are sharing and creating data, together with the expectation of a more personalized, instant, and engaging experience is the benchmark. Also, with the speed and agility, which are more crucial than ever, we see a world of where application and data now live everywhere, such as application and data in the multiple clouds in hybrid reality, which includes co-location and data centers, for example. And the data explosion itself that's happening at the edge of, for example, you can see 75% of data now created is moving us from data centers to many centers of data. Now, the digital transformation enable us to accelerate distributed cloud world will be fueled by application and data, and of course IP everywhere in edges, collocation and data centers. The next wave of digital transformation will unlock the value of all application and data, not just a small fraction of them. It's built on open source, cloud native technologies, and optimized for a highly distributed environment. This will give us enterprises the agility and speed that they need, and the new sources of innovation to create the new experience, opportunities, and efficiencies in the next wave of digital transformation. And only with HPE, we can bring the cloud experience to application and data everywhere. And let's see how we can achieve that. The first one is to define and move to your right mix of clouds with an approach that open to any cloud, anywhere, with the expertise to help you find the right mix of clouds for your enterprise. And secondly, to create a modern and agile platform for innovation, HPE will help you bring the cloud experience to your non-cloud native application that is slowing you down possible. Hence, enabling them to reach a modern cloud experience together with your cloud native application to achieve faster speed and agility as required and create a consistent technology strategy. We do this through a software-defined composable infrastructure and optimized platform supporting both HPE IP and leading
What? You want
hybrid
to
cloud
mute
partner
yourself?
solution
You
like
don't mind?
Azure. Thirdly, consume everything as a service everywhere. HPE will bring the modern cloud experience to your apps and data everywhere with the self-service ease, scale up or down flexibility.
Oops, sorry. Oh, hold on.
Create a modern and agile platform for innovation. HPE will help you bring the cloud experience to your non-cloud native application that is slowing you down possible. Hence, enabling them to reach a modern cloud experience together with your cloud native application to achieve faster speed and agility as required and create a consistent technology strategy. We do this through a software-defined composable infrastructure and optimized platform supporting both HPE IP and leading hybrid cloud partner solution like Azure. Thirdly, consume everything as a service everywhere. HPE will bring the modern cloud experience to your apps and data everywhere with the self-service ease, scale up or down flexibility, pay per use, and all managed for you. With HPE GreenLake, the market-leading IT as a service platform for over a decade now. And lastly, the fourth one, to unify your hybrid cloud estate. Move operation to a cloud native process managed for you with one unified management platform. That is where bring HPE GreenLake Central coming in to help you to unify, simplify operation across cloud native and non-cloud native workloads to drive insights and control for operation excellence in one screen. Let's look how to we have HPE can help you starting with the right mix of clouds for your enterprise. HPE will help with the approach that open to any cloud, of course, anywhere with expertise to help you find the right mix of clouds for your expertise. With the support of HPE Pointnext Services, cloud and technology expert, it will help you to do that. Firstly, with HPE Pointnext Cloud Advisory and Professional Services, we look to understand your objective and assess your existing environment holistically across all of your application data and workloads. We will assess your existing IT investment strategy, help to identify and trap capital. We also help you to assess your people and teams, including to identify critical gaps in your cloud journey. We then help you to define the right mix of clouds for your apps, data, and workloads. And secondly, and then migrate to and move to a cost-saving consumption model. We will help you to move or migrate to your right mix of clouds, optimize for every workload. And with our cloud expertise, we have completed over 1,000 cloud transformation projects globally and carry a deep expertise across Azure, AWS, GCP, and also can assist you with all the project from advisory to setting up a cloud business office to manage services. And secondly, HPE will also help you to bring the cloud experience to your non-cloud native traditional application that is slowing you down possible, enabling them to reach the modern cloud experience together with your cloud native application to achieve the speed and agility required and create a consistent strategy. We do this through a software-defined composable foundation, application migration, and by freeing up capital in a move to as to service platform on premises. To reach the modern cloud experience and achieve the speed and agility you want, HPE deliver portfolio of software-defined, rack-optimized HPE ProLiant that support HPE IP and leading partner cloud solutions, such as Microsoft Azure Stack HCI. Together with HPE ProLiant rack-optimized infrastructure running with Microsoft Azure Stack HCI, will create a perfect platform for consistent hybrid cloud experience. From mid-market to large enterprise customers, from traditional IT to a virtualized data center, our goal is to help you to move faster and quick towards the digital transformed software-defined data center supporting hybrid infrastructure. HPE and Microsoft work together to provide a simple experience for hybrid cloud so you can create and deliver the new value instantly to continue to achieve. And with much reduced costs, which will give you a consistent hybrid cloud environment. To get the convenience of hyperconverged infrastructure to run your private and hybrid cloud on a workload optimized platform, the Intelligent Compute Foundation delivers a great workload optimization, security, and automation. It provides an ideal foundation with your Windows software defined HCI where you can benefit from easier adoption, easier infrastructure planning with multiple validated server configuration from Intel and AMD, for example, deployment and configuration guidance through technical white paper and other published documentation and training. Speed and agility delivered through HPE GreenLake as a service, which will be offload the burden of operating IT and pay only for the resources you consume. Let's talk about HPE IP with built-in security. Our HPE ProLiant Gen 10 and Gen 10 Plus server integrating Silicon Root of Trust technology deploy in our HPE ProLiant and HPE Synergy offer protection, detection, and recovery from attack with industry-leading encryption and firmware protection. All of our Gen 10 and Gen 10 Plus server comes with ILO 5. We need to implement the guideline will be provided from us with the user to have active ILO advanced license, for example. And user must have the firmware runtime verification activated to scan firmly every 30 days at the minimum. Users have to be automatically firmware recovered activated. The policy review, HPE Gen 10 Plus server customers with Silicon Root of Trust enabled will qualify for the other security insurers for enhanced terms and conditions, individually negotiated cyber insurance policies. So let's win with HPE, start taking advantage of Cyber Catalyst accepted Silicon Root of Trust and negotiate with the better term for your insurance policies. Organization that adopts Cyber Catalyst this solution may disqualify for enhanced term and condition on individual negotiated cyber insurance. And thirdly, we bring the modern cloud experience to your apps and data everywhere with the self-service ease, scale up or down, flexibility, pay per use, and all managed for you. With HPE GreenLake, the market-leading IT as a service platform for over a decade by now. Let's look at the HPE GreenLake, the cloud experience everywhere. The HPE GreenLake brings the cloud experience with a self-serve, pay-per-use, scale up and down, and managed for you by HPE and our partners, enabling you to free up your capital, boost operational and financial flexibilities, and free up talent to accelerate what next for you. In summary, you can see that HPE GreenLake will give you a self-service with a self-service portal, which will provide a simple point and click automated provisioning. Pay-per-use, of course, which will boost your financial flexibility to free up your capital, better control costs, and align costs to business outcomes. And scale up and down resources as you need to adjust based on your need and capacity ahead of demand. Managed by you, for you, and by HPE and our partner, who will help to operate the solution for you. Securely managed from HPE world-class IT operation around the world, freeing up resources to be more productive, providing data and insight to Unified Portal. Cloud services through HPE GreenLake include containers, of course, data protection, VMs, compute storage, and much more, enabling customer to free up capital. HPE's strategy is to deliver the cloud experience everywhere. As the edge to cloud platform as a service company, HPE helps you to accelerate your digital transformation with a holistic strategy across technology, people, economic, and sustainability. Let's look how HPE GreenLake brings the cloud to you and how simple and fast to your needs. And fourthly, HPE will help to move operation to a cloud-native cloud operation process managed by you with one unified management platform. That's where the HPE GreenLake Central coming in to help you to unify and simplify operation across cloud-native and non-cloud-native workloads and drive insights and control for operational excellence. Consume everything as a service everywhere with HPE GreenLake, the market-leading IT as a service platform for over a decade. HPE GreenLake helps customers quickly and easily to get rich insights and control unified across the clouds for easy and instant action, and to enhance experience, reduce costs, mitigate risks, and regulatory compliance. To run a business better with a simple self-service portal, HPE GreenLake Central. HPE GreenLake Central is an advanced software platform that allows you to have visibility in usage span and active capacity planning with a powerful consumption analytics in HPE GreenLake Central Management Platform, which enable transparency to see cost by service, location, and other parameters that you need, and aggregated usage across on-premise and cloud deployments in AWS and Microsoft Azure, for example, unified in one management console, giving stakeholders what they need faster. Customer can be assured that they will always have the capacity needed for the workloads. Near the real-time visibility into usage against reserve and buffer capacity enable HPE to scale up capacity ahead and customer into need the business growth in the near future. Why HPE? We have experience to get you there. Over 1,000 successful cloud migration, for example. We have the expertise to help you at any stage, any cloud, accelerate adoption of any cloud, financial models, etc. Unbiased expertise and IP to accelerate your right mix of clouds for your enterprise. And proven cloud partner with over 1,000 cloud transformation projects globally. IT as a service market leading platform, HPE GreenLake. And finally, through HPE Financial Services, we create investment capacity to accelerate your transformation. We create financial vitality by helping you to free up your capital, maximize capacity, and do more with your IT budget. With our portfolio approach to your technology investment plan, you will have the freedom to move quickly and stay agile, the strength to pivot, and confidence that your business is always ready for what is next. thank you for your participation in this webinar and looking forward for the next opportunity.
Hey, thank you, Gregor. Thank you for doing this for us, even though you're on your break. All right. So next, I'd like to introduce you to Eric. All right. And I'm sure he'll do a better job introducing himself. All right. And the content that he's going to talk about. Eric, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you again for having me here. Yeah. So should I share my screen?
Please do. Go ahead.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Awesome. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Again, hello everyone. Yeah. Good evening. And again, yeah. Little introduction about me. I'm Eric Sugiono. I'm a solution architect in AMD Indonesia. I'm covering the ASEAN region countries, including Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. And I'm glad to be here today, where we'll share more about the AMD EPIC as the core technology, where we can utilize the AMD EPIC CPU to optimize the performance, scalability, security, and value for your applications, including like a hybrid cloud and virtualization. Okay. Looking at the trend and the challenges today, that if we're talking about the virtualizations, then virtualization is become new again, particularly when delivered as the part of the hyper-converged infrastructure solution or HCI. Yeah, this is a part to modernize the data center. And again, HCI, we give the advantage of simplifying the deployment management to the quick changing needs of business. And when deployed successfully, HCI can drive the business progress and growth. And here is based on the market research, HCI will grow from 7.8 billion USD to 27.1 billion USD by 2025. And as you can see here, is year by year is 28.1% growth. So it is also we will see more and more of the trend technology, especially when we use the hyper-converged solutions in our data center. And before we go to detail, let's see this.
The
What
cloud,
you know about it.
the ever-beating heart of your infrastructure. It's flexible, elastic, scalable, and it just works. Pure harmony, right? No, wait. Since when has "it just works" been good enough? Couldn't it work better, faster, safer? Couldn't it be more efficient, more sustainable? As we go beyond the cloud, we find servers. At the heart of the server, the processors. But not all processors are created equal. With over 250 world records, AMD EPIC is the world's best and helps protect your data privacy even in the cloud. Now available with your favorite cloud provider. So whatever you're building, don't settle for good enough. Make it epic.
Yeah. Again, when we see about the EPIC processor for AMD, we see now we have come in the third generation of our AMD EPIC, and we can see that the AMD EPIC is the industry-leading processor where you can improve and expand the principle of the performance, efficiency, and simplicity. And you can take this advantage for the flexibility quickly and easily, and no application changes are required when we're using the EPIC processor. And furthermore, we also can have the competitive advantage when we're using the AMD EPIC processor-based servers, and enable the capabilities for your business in hybrid cloud, virtualizations, artificial intelligence, machine learning, high-performance computing, advanced data analytics, and more. And we take incredible pride that the world's largest and most important cloud service today are powered by AMD. You can see like a Microsoft 385, Teams, Tensor Meeting, Zoom. Currently use the AMD technology in the cloud service that over the customer right now. And we see also the billion of users around the world now rely on the AMD Epic power services. And we also see here that the hyperscale company like Facebook Meta with AWS, Alibaba Cloud, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and more. And when looking to the architecture here, that especially when we for the AMD Epic, we bring the innovations, especially with the latest architecture here that across the stack, we are using the most advanced process technology with the 7 nanometers. 7 nanometers again means the lower, the more density, lower density that the effect of the impact of the higher performance, more core CPU, and then also the better power efficiency. If you look at the right on the screen, here is the roadmap of the AMD Epic. And from the first generation in 2017, we launched the code name with Naples here, and with the 32 cores and 64 threads. And now we come to the second gen and third gen generations. And the third generations, we already have the 64 cores as 138 threads with the 7 nanometers process. And also in this first quarter of this year, we also launched the supplementary of the third generations with Milan X. It's the same 64 cores, but 3 times large 3K memory. Again, for this Milan X especially, we designed for the high performance computing, like in the specific industry, like the manufacturing, in energy and oil and gas. And also in the end of this year, we plan to launch this fourth generations of AMD Epic. Here is with the 5 nanometer chips, and with the target core is 96 cores. And when we look at the current generation with the again with the third generation with the 64 cores, again I can say that the AMD is the only one x86 CPU of which we can offer the largest core in one socket CPU. So again, when we can choose between the from the small core 8 cores, 12 cores, 16 cores until 64 cores. But not only that we have the leading core count, but we also have the highest scalability in the platform of the server that we are using now. Here is the scalability, we can have the highest I/O capacity with 128 PCIe lane per single CPU, and 8 memory channel per CPU, and 4 terabyte memory per CPU. So with this scalability, when you need the especially when you have the high performance application needed with more memory, more capacity in terms of the network, in terms of the scalability, you can taking advantage with the AMD Epic platform. And here I can summarize the value proposition when we use the AMD Epic CPU. First is that we again for the performance, I can highlight that currently we have more than 250 work records across the workloads, like high performance computing, data management, visualization, and the other workloads. And not only the performance. Right now, we also adding include with the security features as the added value. We have the platform AMD Infinity Guard, and also we optimize the solutions when we collaborate the ecosystems with the application vendor especially with Microsoft today, that we optimize the solutions, the platform to bring the optimized solutions, and also in terms of the solutions, we also make sure that we can give the better TCO value in terms of capex and opex. And we see the AMD EPYC processor. Actually, here we divide it into two categories. One is the value optimization with the 7xx3 series CPU model, and where for this value optimizations, we can get the advantage with the leading core counts, where we can deliver more VMs, more containers, more NVIDIA instance, and this we allow the maximum infrastructure consolidations. We can reduce the space, power, cooling requirement of the data center. And the second one is the performance optimizations with the 7x F3 series of CPU, where here we can have the leading performance with the across the workloads. And again, with this leading performance, especially we can deliver the lower core count, higher frequency of CPU, and maximize the performance for core based on the license of the software. And again, we also can maximize the application performance, where the cycle time of the time to complete the task of job is critical. And here is one of the workload with SQL Server that we can see that at moment. There's a video here that I would like to show. Yeah, here is the show the MongoDB benchmark showing that AMD EPYC can deliver 10% more TPM per core with 16 cores total that we compare with the competition. And with this leadership of the compute capabilities with AMD EPYC, again, we can equip the business surfacing more users and customers with the excellent response time. And also here, the other workload with the Microsoft Azure, especially with the virtual desktop, is the instance name is NVP4, and here in the screen, if you see, is one of the sample we use the office productivity applications, and this, the second one is the for the CAD models using the GPU performance provided with the AMD Radeon MI225. And when we see here that the business can deploy the cloud-based Windows desktop, modern and legacy on Azure in minutes. And here is more detail about the AMD Infinity Guard. Again, we have the AMD secret processor is the dedicated chip inside the EPYC CPU processor that to make sure that when we use the security features, it will have the minor impact to the system performance because it will run on the dedicated CPU, dedicated chip. And here we have the several of the security features, including the secure memory encryptions, where we do the encryption of the memory to defend against the attack of like code boot attack or physical attack. And we also have the secure encryptor virtualizations to have the encrypting of the virtual machines that we have, and to make sure that the virtual machines in the memory cannot be accessed even by the administrator itself. And here we also have the AMD Shadow Stacks, is the stack protections to defend against the malware. And for these features, also we collaborate with the Microsoft Endpoint Manager to activate this feature. And if you're looking here, actually, when we have the comparisons with the competition today, again, with the AMD EPYC software platform, we can get the benefit, especially when we compare here with the competition, when we need 4 server, 2 socket with 40 cores. But with the AMD EPYC, we only need 3 servers, 2 sockets, and 64 cores. With the again, not only we have the same core quantity CPU, but we also have the similar score of performance, because the AMD EPYC again, AMD EPYC performance can bring higher performance per core compared to the competition today. And again, well, when we see the advantage here, first, what we can get is the lower hardware acquisition cost until 28%. But not only that, we also can get the efficiency in the OPEX with the lower rack density, with the lower power cost until 23%. And here, average is 12% lower total 3 years cost. And this is one of the case study, especially with the AMD EPYC here, with the DBS Singapore, that when they enable the digital transformations, they move from bare metal to the virtualization. They using the server powered by AMD here with the EPYC 7542, 7642, 7742 processor. Well, running the virtualization, open source software, and automation. Again, from the testimony here, we can see that especially for the GBS, they can shrink the footprint to quarter of the total data center, and they also can lower the power efficiency until 50%, and they also can get the TCO until 90% when they enable from bare metal to virtualization. And again, as a summary here, with the third generations of AMD EPYC, we have enterprise overcome the challenges at 5, and it is now the industry highest performance server CPU, and that translates to lower total cost of ownership, helping our customer to do more with less, achieve the fastest time of value. We are partnering also with the best in the industry across the operating system, application software, and server infrastructure, especially with HP and Microsoft today, to harness all the innovations and transform them into the solutions. Okay, thank you for joining the presentation. Back to you, Noel. Noel, back to you.
Okay, I think Noel is still on hold. Okay, maybe yeah. Check with him. Okay.
Danny here. Okay, let me take on from here because I believe I'm the next speaker here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'll just quickly share my screen with you guys. Okay, you guys can see my screen?
Yes, can see. Very good.
Okay, good. All right, so just a quick introduction of myself here. I'm Danny here. I'm the Azure Stack HCI and the cloud specialist from Microsoft DPSS team here, and I cover the APAC region, which is inclusive of Southeast Asia, APAC, and Korea itself. And okay, there are a couple of things I'm going to do here. I'm just going to talk about the Azure Stack. The Azure Arc overview. I'm going to cover that, and I'm going to leave the rest of the team, Noel and Chua, if I'm not wrong, to help go through some of the demonstration on what Azure Arc can really do. All right. So just to start things going, okay. So the Azure Arc is a set of technologies that give you a single pane of glass view across your cloud and on-premise infrastructure itself, right? So that's the main sole purpose of the Azure Arc, and there are a lot more features that Azure Arc can bring to you as a user itself. All right. Oops, it's not working. Okay, so in today's environment itself, customers often have tens or hundreds or even thousands of applications in their IT environments. So these applications run in a diverse infrastructure with data centers, hosting environments, branch offices, and they may also run in multi-cloud scenarios where we see 2 or more clouds being used in a multi-cloud environment, right? So to add to this complexity, customers always also use different development tools, languages, frameworks, and as well as technologies like DevOps, Kubernetes, and AI, and so on, right? So if you have a situation like this, I will ask, how do you view, govern, and secure IT resources seamlessly, regardless of where they are running? How do you bring cloud innovations to existing infrastructure, right? And how to modernize local data centers with, with new cloud infrastructure, and how to extend compute and AI to the edge to unlock new business scenarios, right? So at Microsoft, we understand this reality our customers are facing. So Microsoft Azure has been designed from the beginning to help customers meet these challenges. And we have done it over the number of years. We are over the years, and we have now we are able to bring a lot more value and solutions to you guys as a customer or as a reseller here, as a partner. Okay, so what you're seeing here is basically a simple diagram of what a typical hybrid cloud setup is really all about, right? You have a bunch of you have the hybrid, the Azure cloud itself. Then you have the Azure Stack HCI, which is residing in your data center. Then you have a whole bunch of multi-cloud, subscription that you may have out there. And then you have the edge devices, right? Like your IoT in the factories and so on. So, and to glue all this together, we have the Azure Arc, which is a single pane of glass for management, all these items from the cloud all the way down to the data center and to the edge, and also to the multi-cloud environments. Okay, we are all about meeting you where you are, right? With a keen in understanding of IT environment with art, right? So this means that you can now run, manage, and operate all of your existing IT resources consistently at scale, wherever they exist, right, or reside from Azure. So you can also run Azure services anywhere, on premises or in other clouds. So you can take advantage of the cloud benefits everywhere, such as scalability, fast deployment, and always up-to-date innovations. So to unpack this a bit more, the Azure Arc Enable infrastructure enables you to connect your resources which live outside of Azure today, and to operate them, as if as if they were native Azure resources, using the same management tools and services that Azure provides. And with Azure Arc enabled services, you have the flexibility to deploy fully managed Azure services anywhere, on premise, in other public clouds. So you can take advantage of cloud benefits everywhere, right? Such as scalability and always up-to-date cloud innovations, right? As I've also mentioned earlier on. And what else is this? What else can be so awesome? Is that you can initiate and manage these deployments right from the Azure portal. This means that you can easily do this anywhere, right? Now, we have established hybrid cloud as the norm for most customers today. And let's try to understand the challenges that customers are facing today with this model, hybrid cloud deployments. From an infrastructure standpoint, or from an infrastructure point of view, we understand that some of these must remain on premises. it is complex. With we often hear customers say they need to have visibility into the health of the existing as well as future infrastructure and the applications in a single pane of glass, right? Secondly, from an IT point of view, while organizations understand the need for implementing governance standard, and they find it hard to integrate on-premises policies and updates with the cloud infrastructure. So thirdly, since there are often different apps development teams in the organization, there exists a wide range of skills across on-premises and the cloud, and customers are looking for consistent interoperability between the two. So between the two, right? So they can unify development practices, and let's also consider the deployment of cloud native services. Some customers operate in highly regulated industries such as the government, healthcare, FSI, telcos, and so on, where both internal and customer data are deemed critical and must remain within the boundaries of on-premises data centers. And there could also be a need for latency requirements where the data processing needs to happen close to the source of data within while minimizing disruptions that may arise from internet connectivity issues. And another common scenario is that customers don't want management overhead of maintaining these services on premises and would like to flip it to a cloud billing model, right? Okay, with Azure, we are helping you address these challenges, but the Azure Arc enabled infrastructure enables you to have a single pane of glass view of all your resources, Windows, Linux, SQL servers, and so on, as well as the Kubernetes containers, so that you have a better inventory of your assets. You can also reduce risk, within your organization by establishing a governance framework and then apply a standard set of policies for all your workloads. And server app owners, can now view compliance status of their own servers and then take necessary remediation, steps to remediation, steps from the Azure portal. And this actually helps remove some of the management overhead on central IT and in tracking and also ensuring adherence to compliance standards. And lastly, the Azure Arc also helps you adopt cloud practices on premises. You can actually deploy applications using consistent approach and familiar tools and practices, for example, across all your Kubernetes classes on any infrastructure. You can also standardize change control with declarative, configuration management systems like GitOps, right? And you can also easily adopt DevOps techniques such as, infrastructure as a code and empower developers with self-service and a selection of tools. With Azure Arc services, you have the flexibility to deploy fully managed Azure services anywhere, on-premise, in the public clouds, so you can take advantage of the cloud benefits everywhere or anywhere, right? Such as, for example, such as scalability, faster deployment, always up-to-date cloud innovations, while adhering to the regulatory requirements, right? Which I said earlier on, right? And this data, these data services can be deployed and managed from within your on-premises environment or in your own, customers, regions, for example, Southeast Asia and Europe and so on, right? And thus reducing latency, right? Finally, you can also access the latest Azure features capabilities for on-premises data workloads. Today, you can deploy the evergreen SQL, instances, right? Or even Postgres SQL hyperscale on any infrastructure and benefit from the automated updates and patches and even upgrades without, application downtime. So I believe the team here will actually show you some of these features in a demo, right? Okay. Now let's look at a few simple use cases that the Azure Arc helps you with, and when to use it. First, if you have workloads running, outside of Azure, you can you can now organize all your resources consistently in Azure, and then whether they are on Windows, Linux, or a SQL Server, or even containers, right? You can govern and control them in a homogeneous way, and you can actually you can get visibility to them from a single pane of glass or from the Azure portal itself. Now you can leverage cloud native app deployment practices, and then meaning that you can use DevOps techniques to deploy and manage Kubernetes apps at scale, and make sure they are configured consistently as you build your Kubernetes-based applications. You can also standardize change control with declarative configuration management systems like GitOps, right? Which is a popular Kubernetes operating model. And lastly, you can also you can also run those managed Azure data services like Azure SQL managed instances, Azure Postgres hyperscale anywhere, right? Okay, now let's talk about the Azure Arc extending the Azure control plane to your existing infrastructure. And we see a real example where this scenario comes to life. So what kind of infrastructure services can you enable with Azure Arc? With Azure Arc enabled services, we support Windows Server with a wide range of Linux operating systems such as SUSE Linux and Red Hat Linux, right? On Azure Arc is SQL Server. In addition to the governance and inventory benefits, you are able to take advantage of additional values such as the Azure services or proactive SQL assessments, ensuring your databases are optimally tuned, right? And on the Arc enabled or the Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes, we support a wide range of distributions. Again, offering you that flexibility of choice without forcing you to stick to a single solution, right? And you can also use cloud native tools, practices, and GigOps configuration, app deployment, to one or more clusters at scale. The Azure Kubernetes services on Azure Stack HCI lets you deploy and manage containerized applications on Azure Stack HCI, which can be managed by Azure Arc. Okay, now let's look at the scenario we talked about just now. Organize and and govern across environments. Consider this: we are working with a large financial organization, right, with thousands of servers deployed in multiple locations. They are also using DevOps practices, which results in an unknown number of servers that are connected to the corporate networks, but also they do not confirm they are not they do not conform to identity and governance requirements. And this customer really needs to gain some control of their environment and ensure the compliance are met for audit purposes, right? So if you actually refer back or reference back to what I've said earlier, the ability to have unified governance across the entire data centers from the cloud to the on-premise servers and networks and so on. Okay, so let me summarize the Azure Arc services and what the Azure Arc enabled servers can do for you, right? You can onboard a wide variety of servers to Azure, with Azure Arc, like Windows servers, Linux, VMs, bare metals that are running anywhere, right? You can organize all these servers and apply governance across these servers, and then apply role-based access control with real-time security monitoring and alerts, right? And in addition, you can also deploy Azure VMs extensions to non-Azure Windows or Linux VMs, simplifying the management of your hybrid machines on premise, at the edge, or other cloud environments. And all these capabilities are unparalleled in today's market itself. Okay, I'm done with my simple presentations, and I'm going to hand this back to Noel. Hey,
Thank you,
Noel, you can
Danny.
take this back.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm so sorry I had to step out just now momentarily, just to wrap up something. All right, let me just share my screen. All right, so we do have Azure Arc demo to support you, Danny, as promised. All right, so to do that, I'm going to invite Ko, all right, who spent a bit of time plowing through some of the interesting scenarios and so forth to make this multi-cloud management solution exciting, all right? Because a lot of times when we hear about it, we get tickled by a lot of its capabilities, but sadly, when we don't get a chance to really chew on it, right, through a demo and visualize exactly how some of those capabilities come in, right, I think we're missing out on a big part of it. So that's where I appeal to Ko to help us with this demo, right? So Ko, over to you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Noel. Thanks, Danny, for the great sharing. Let me share my screen. Yeah, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
All right.
Sure thing.
Okay. Right. So good day, everyone. So I'm Ko from I'm a technology specialist from my DLC. So thanks, Danny, on sharing the great capability that are provided by Azure Arc. All right. So this is a great features functionality where we can actually manage the resources via Azure Cloud, right? So let's start. Right, by connecting your machine to Azure Arc, right, with Azure Arc enabled server, you can use Azure Resource Manager to manage and monitor its configuration, right, and operate and its operation. This facilitate a range of other scenario that use Azure service to optimize security, monitoring, and governance, like the integration with Microsoft Defender for Cloud, with continuously monitor the configuration of Azure Arc machine to identify the potential security vulnerability and so on. Right. So let's go into a more detailed demo. Right, that I did a recording few months back. All right, so let's go back to the Azure. This is the Azure portal, and we will start to searching for the Azure Arc. Let me start it. All right, we search for Azure Arc, and this is basically the Azure Arc Center, where you would manage all these resources which are outside of Azure, and then connect them to your environment. Right. So in terms of server, I can just select. I can just select the server menu, and you can see here there's all my server that is already connected. If I want to connect a new server, I will just simply click on the A. Right. The onboarding menu give you a couple of options here to generate the script which help you to onboard these servers. Right. The steps are really simple. Basically, you are going to download an agent. The script will then install the agent and then register the server to Azure. Right? You can do that for a single server, and this will ask you for login at the end of the script, where you have the credential to log in your Azure account. Right? What if you are onboarding 10 or hundreds of servers? and want to probably build same automation and don't need to log in on each of these server through Azure, you can do that using the server principle. Right. So now let me quickly show you how that widget would look like. Right. This also shows us some of the prerequisites you will need to have in place. So first of all, the agent just need onboard connectivity on port 443, which was encrypted connection to Azure endpoint. Right. You also need a local administrator permission to install the agent. Right. You can also choose a different connectivity like a public endpoint proxy server or over a private endpoint as well. Right. Now click on next. You will then just select the Azure subscription and the Azure resource group where you want to join the server to. Right. Following by choosing the closest Azure region and operating system for your server you want to join. Right. And then the appropriate connectivity method. Right. So in the widget, you can also define tags, right? So you can set up like couple of its tag for your location, which data center you are in, right? And you can obviously add your own custom tag, right? You can also add that letter and anytime to add it here, right? And then last but not least, you actually get a script, right? Which you can download and run on your server. Right? In my case, I already have installed the agent on my server. Right? Let me show you what I mean and how it happened. Right? Let me fast forward a little bit. Right? So this is basically the onboarding process for the server side. Right? So basically it's just a script and you run. Right? Your resource group is joined. Right. So in this case, maybe I walk through a little bit on this here. So I will install the agent on the server. Right. And this server is called KAASVR01. And if you get the process, I can see the agent process is running in the background and connecting me to the hybrid environment. I also get a command line utility called Azure Connected Machine Agent to register, to connect and disconnect the machine from Azure, and also showing the existing connection status of Azure. Right? So you can see what is actually the Azure resource group is joined, which subscription, which tenant, so on. Right? After that, we are basically connected our server to Azure. Right? So it will show in a couple of minutes within the Azure portal. Right? So let's respect to Azure and take a look on the server. Right? In this scenario, is the KAA SVR02. Right? For example. Right? So as you can see here, the server actually become a native Azure resource, even though the server and all the data is actually stored on premise. Right? You can actually get the object in the Azure Resource Manager, and you can see there's part of the Azure Resource Group and a subscription. At the same time, you can also get some additional information, for example, here with name of the computer, the operating system detail. Right? You can also use a tag and so on to actually manage the server. Right? So that's how I onboard the server using the script and how the server are being managed as a resource object in Azure portal. Right. So far, any questions?
I think the group's good, Cole. Just keep going.
No problem. So let's continue. All right. So just now I have shown you the way I onboard the server into the Azure app. So now if you look here, the server 01, for example, we take a look at some of the management capability. First of all, what I want to show you here is the Azure Security Center. Now branded as a Microsoft Defender for Cloud. As a Defender for Cloud continuously scan and monitor the configuration for your Azure App-enabled machine to identify the potential security and vulnerability and recommendation action to mitigate them. Right? You may also click on View Additional Recommendation in Defender for Cloud to access to the main portal dashboard to have a look on other rules, the alert and the recommendation that is available. Secondly, well, we also take a look on our log analytic menu. We can enable log analytic features for specific server, and that will send, for example, event logs data to the logs analytic workspace. And then we can run query using the keyword query language to actually go through and filter the event log for certain event. As shown, this one is a very simple query where show all the logs for updates, and you can browse through it for checking purpose. I can also go for performance data query template, for example, memory virtualization for specific of time, right? Let's say I would like to see the usage for the past 37 hours, right? I can also change it, and it would the panel will actually reflect accordingly, right? Right. So speaking of performance data, right, what can I also do is I can actually use Azure Monitor, for example. Let me start it. Right. For example, to have a look at this space usage. Right. You can see CPU usage, memory usage, this IOP throughput, this latency, network traffic, and so much more. Right. And obviously with Azure Monitor, I have a centralized control plane to manage all of that. And I can also set up alert for that as well. Right. At the same time, I also get a dependency map, and what I can see here is a connection map. Right. This is actually the utilization that available on the Azure Monitor. Right. So this is the dependency map, and what I can see here is the connection map with traffic to and from my monitor server. Right. I can see which client are connecting to that specific server, and also to which endpoint this connecting so far. Right. For example, here I can see a port 443 and connecting to 32 different server endpoint. If I expand it, I can see a different endpoint, IP address, domain name, right? Even an endpoint of outside where the Azure Arc agent is connecting. Right?
Wow. That's a lot.
Yes. All right.
Cool.
So,
I think we can probably go for all day with Azure Arc.
No, that is a lot from what we can see here. All right.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Cool. Thank you so much for that, Cole. I know
Yeah, no
you've got.
problem.
I think you have at least half an hour demo. For
Yeah,
Arc.
if you want to
Sadly,
go
we
through,
don't.
yeah, I think
Yeah, we don't have time for that much of Azure Arc this
definitely
time
no
around.
problem. We can
Stay
reserve
tuned.
it for next time.
Yeah, stay tuned. Definitely, we will have more. Okay,
Yeah,
so
definitely.
thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
So that
no problem.
kind of completes the section where we wanted to bring in our special partners, right? HP, AMD, and Microsoft to cover off different aspects of the technology and so forth. Right. So thank you, Gregor, and thank you, Eric and Danny. All right, for the session. Sorry, I couldn't stay just now for long with your session, Eric. Right, I had to go back and close off another session, but I'm sure you must have wowed them with some of your amazing videos that you showed. Right, I know we went through that in one of our previous rehearsal session. But importantly, that we've seen an increased uptick in this trend, right? In the last 2 years with the pandemic and so forth, and increasingly more countries are now coming back to normal, quote unquote. This hyper-converged momentum as well as cloud momentum has accelerated ahead. That's why it's so important for us to look at this year, 2022, with these sets of technology. For those of you who are new to Windows Server, right, there has been more than 10 versions of Windows Server that up to this point, right? Now, why am I talking about the last 3 versions or the current version and the last 2 versions is because the hyper-converged capability in Windows Server came about starting in Server 2016. Right? Back then, it was named as Storage Spaces Direct, and later in 2019, it was rebranded, if you want, in the name called Azure Stack HCI. Right? And of course, in 2022, we still continue to have that. Because there's been so long going in terms of its capabilities, right? The HCI capabilities in Windows Server has won multiple awards. So these 3 different versions, if you want, continue to win awards as far back as in 2019, right? So 2019 has been a very pivotal version, if you want. And then, of course, there were awards given out to in 2020 and even in 2021. So what is this HCI capability? All right, and don't worry, I will come back to the remote desktop services portion very shortly. It's because it's a hyper-converged capability, meaning storage in service. To do that, we have Hyper-V as the hypervisor. We have the software-defined storage, which is essentially the engine, if you want, for the hyper-converged capability, and also a built-in software-defined network. All these are available in Windows Server 2022 as the first version, if you want, of the Microsoft HCI. And this runs well, very well on many models of the HPE certified solutions. And of course, you saw Windows Admin Center in action. All right, Core used a bit of that, and you'll see more of that as we go along. Right, and this forms the first HCI solution, if you want, from Microsoft with Windows Server 2022 Data Center Edition. The other one that is even more exciting as time goes by, as we start to dig deeper, is the Azure Stack HCI dedicated OS. It's a OS specific for HCI capability. The current version is 21H2, which happens to be the second version of this dedicated Azure Stack HCI OS. The first version was back in 2020, right? So there's 2 versions to date, and we're expecting to see a 3rd version coming out later this year. Again, it comprises of these 3 architectural components: the hypervisor with Hyper-V, the software-defined storage, and of course the SDN. Okay, and again, it runs very well on a number of certified solutions on HPE hardware, right? With Windows Admin Center managing it, as well as what you saw through Cole's demo with Azure Arc. And of course, through Azure Arc, we have a way to pull in many other critical Azure services like Azure Monitor and Azure Microsoft Defender for Cloud and so forth. All right, that Cole was showing you. So that's Azure Stack HCI 21H2 for you. Now, the interesting thing with 21H2 is part of a continuum, if you want, of Azure Stack HCI offering that follows what we call a cloud rhythm. But it's also important to note that it uses a subscription business model, which means it's licensed on a per core per month manner at 10 US per core per month. Right, so we went through a milestone, as mentioned, back in 2020 with version 20H2, right? And in 2021, we had the 21H2, which is the one that I just mentioned. And a little bit later this year, we will see a 22H2. That's where we're heading, right, with this version. It has a yearly rhythm, if you want, of release. But why is this Azure Stack HCI exciting? It's because it really hits home with these scenarios and more, right? From a server consolidation, modernization of infrastructure, right, to virtual desktops, through even cloud native applications running on containers managed by Kubernetes, which is something that Danny mentioned and Cole also mentioned on top of that with Arc. And of course, it's a great platform for IOPS hungry workload like SQL Server, for example. Not to mention bigger customers who are into hybrid, multi-cloud, and even private cloud. They need those IOPS to be able to scale elastically and so forth. But not forgetting those who are with very small needs at the branch and the edge level. So we are also very good with remote office, branch office deployment scenario for Azure Stack HCI. But in this session, we wanted to focus on virtual desktop infrastructure, right? And out of Windows Server 2022, we get a feature called Remote Desktop Services. And out of Remote Desktop Services, all right, Windows Server powers it better than ever before. And we have some demos to show you from scenarios of using it with GPU, from a remote app perspective, from a virtual desktop perspective, and so forth. So those demos are obviously more interesting than you hearing me talk about it. So that came about with this amazing 2022. We wanted to show you RDS and Windows Server 2022 together with Azure HCI in all its glory, especially running on high core count processors like the AMD EPYC processors, for example, which gives you up to 64 cores per socket. So these capabilities together with the support for GPU and even native data deduplication capability to help you, right, expand your investment even further, right? These things give us an understanding of how we want to flow this session, if you want. So we have Windows Server 2022, we have Azure HCI, we even have VDI, if you want, coming in from Azure, right? And that's something that we want to talk about briefly, just to give you a comprehensive view, if you want, of the entire solution, right? And from Azure, we have Azure Virtual Desktop, right? Something that I believe Danny mentioned. And of late, Microsoft has also come out with something called Windows 365, the cloud PC, if you want. So there's two flavors of VDI coming in from Azure to provide a hugely rich mix of offerings for customers to look at. And to get that started, I want to bring Ko back in, right? He's going to briefly take us through, all right, the Azure Virtual Desktop and Windows 365. Ko, we only have a very short time for this, sorry. All right.
Yeah, no problem. Let me share the screen. Yeah, can you see the screen?
Yep, sure thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
can see.
So, everyone, I'm Ko again. All right. So, just briefly talk about the different capability that provided by Windows RDS VDI, as well as Azure Virtual Desktop, and also the Windows 365. Right. For Windows RDS and VDI, we know that it provides a very good capability in terms of secure remote access, deployment flexibility, cost effectiveness, right, and also the extensibility, right. So while there is the new capability of this VDI solution that provided by Azure, we call it Azure Virtual Desktop, right. So this Azure Virtual Desktop actually provide a very good capability in terms of fully managed desktop environment for the cloud, right? Fully featured native client that supported for various kind of operating system like Windows, Mac OS, right, and even Android and Linux, everything, right? Which provide a central management security with the Azure infrastructure. And not limited to that, with the FS logic for the storing of the roaming profile, as well as together with the Azure Virtual Desktop for HCI, which is still in a preview. Right? So below there's a YouTube video from Jeremy Chapman talk about the Azure Virtual Desktop. Right? And moving forward, this is some of the screen that I would like to show you about how does Azure Virtual Desktop web client look like. And this is also some of the architects review for this Azure Virtual Desktop, where as us as a subscriber, the subscription for the Azure subscription owner, right? So there is infrastructure, there is object and infrastructure that actually are owned by us, controlled and managed by us, where those objects that actually managed by Microsoft, like client, the broker, the gateway, right, the networking, the storage and compute, and so on. Right? So this is the architecture that actually built for this Azure Virtual Desktop. Right? Moving forward, right, for Windows 365 Cloud PC, right, the capability is stunning, right, with highly availability, optimized, and actually scalable, right, and it's simple, powerful, and secure, right, and of course, it's accessible from anywhere, from any device, and before I wrap up, there is a simple video that I would like to share. This is actually from Microsoft. I think I forgot to share the sound. Right. Okay, everyone hear the sound?
Yes, Carl.
Thank you. Over to you now.
Thank you, Cole. Thank you.
Oh,
Wow, that video surprised me.
yes, looks good.
Yeah, it's definitely a very good marketing video, but stay tuned. All right, we have a lot of sharing to do, but obviously we can't take that all through in one sitting. So there's going to be more. So we are planning for more demos and so forth. Obviously, we want to show you Azure Virtual Desktop, all right, in live form, all right, running on top of Azure Stack HCI, right? Not just the Azure Virtual Desktop that is currently available in Azure, because I believe that, like what Danny was talking about, Azure Stack HCI is really designed, if you want, to bring down PaaS services from Azure. Right, so AKS is also another one of those workloads that we will show you and we will demo for you in future. Okay, so these are some of the exciting demos. So without further ado, all right, and I know Chua's been sitting there waiting for his opportunity to share because he's done a lot of exciting demos for you. All right, Chua, you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
All right, thank you, thank you.
Okay, let me share.
Yes, go for it.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, yes, Chua.
Okay,
all
this
good.
is some info about me. Okay, I'm Chua. So today's we're going to cover this topic, RDS. Okay, and before that, let's take a look about the RDS types. And these actually are the demos topic we are going to cover. So the first one is about the RDS session base. So we will talk about the remote apps, how to publish, how simple it is. Then followed by the RDS virtual machine base. Okay, or in short form we call it VDI. And in the VDI got two modes, actually, two deployment mode. Another one is a dedicated deployment. So all these topics we are going to cover. So I'm not going to talk you one by one. Later I will tell you. Okay. So the first demo is about to use the RDS session base to publish the remote apps. Okay, and it's very simple. Let's look how simple it is. Okay, let's start. So this is the Windows Server 2012 2022. Okay, now we are going to deploy this RDS. So from here we can see that we have two options: virtual machine base and session base. So for the remote apps, we have to use this session base desktop deployment. Okay, then click next. Then you have to follow step by step the widget actually guided step by step. You just follow, add the servers which you want to add to become the RD connection broker, the web access, the session host. Okay, so once done, you just need to click the deploy. Okay, and of course you need to tick this one, restart the destination servers. Then after you deploy, then completed. Okay, the next thing, once completed, you will see that you have these remote desktop services actually appear in the server manager. Okay, so you just click this one. The next thing we're going to do is to create the session collection. Okay, so from this Windows, okay, it will guide you. This widget will guide you step by step how to create the collection. So just put a name for the collection. Okay, follow the step, select the groups. Okay, select the path for the user profile disk. Okay, so next thing, click create. So once done, you will see the collection one actually created. So click this collection one and you will see this published remote apps. Okay, so simply click this link, then you will open another Windows. And here it will list down all the apps actually available inside this session host server. Okay, so all the available apps. So example, I'm going to publish this software called AutoCount, one of our Malaysia's famous accounting software. Sorry, I'm not doing advertisement, but just take this as an example. So another one, I published the Microsoft Word and Excel also. Okay, that's what you can see. These are the apps which are going to publish. Simply click this publish button. So once done, click close. Okay, actually the setup is completed. The next thing, you're going to connect. And how you're going to connect? You can use any Windows client PC. Just example, this Windows 11, you open the browser, use server name followed by RD web. Okay, key in the username and the password. Sign in. Yeah, here you can see the apps actually what you have published just now. Okay, So to access to the app, simply click, okay, then open the file. And amazingly, you will see that the software without you to install, then you can use on the PC. Yeah. So you not believe it? Just I can show you. I can log in. Okay. It's actually appear like just like a desktop app. Okay. Amazing, right? So next, maybe I show you how to open the Microsoft Word. Oh, before that, let me show you. This auto count I didn't install into the PC. Yeah? So you search it, you cannot find this auto count. Same with this Microsoft Word. So to open this Microsoft Word, simply click the icon, then click the open file. Yeah. So the Microsoft Word will open like a normal. Okay. So maybe you will ask how many connection I can connect to use. Actually, it very depends on the license. So example here, this license I import is 5 license, means that maximum you can have concurrent 5 user actually access it. Okay, so this is about the how simple to set up the remote apps. That's all actually. So next thing, we're going to cover this topic, RDS virtual machine based VDI full deployment. Okay, so the first we are going to show this auto deploy the VM. Let's take a look. Okay, now again, I'm at the Windows Server 2022 Server Manager. Okay, from the Server Manager, I click this Add Roles, click Next, Remove Desktop Services Installation. Okay, from here, so this is the place which is different from the session. Just now, remote apps, I use session, but for this VDI, I choose virtual machine-based deployment. Okay, click Next. Okay, so actually the rest step is almost same like just now. So you have to choose the connection broker, web access, virtualization host. But this is virtualization host. Just now is the session host. So a bit different on the term. So after that, you need to restart to deploy. Okay, once done, next. Okay, once done, sorry. Okay, once done, you will see that collection actually, these are remote desktop services actually appear in the server manager. So the next thing, you have to create a virtual desktop collection. So a bit different from just now, we create a session collection. Now it's the desktop collection. So I key in the name for this collection. I name it collection 1. Next. Okay, here you see is the option for us to choose whether you want to deploy VDI in a pool virtual desktop or personal virtual desktop collection. Okay, so for this example, I will choose pool virtual desktop. And later I will tell you what's the difference. Okay, we use a demo to tell you it's better so that you can have a better understanding. So the next thing, I will have to choose a template. Okay, I will base on this template to deploy virtual machine. And bear in mind that this virtual machine is not the server-based virtual machine, but it's the client-based. It's like just something like Windows 10, Windows 11. Okay, so the next I have to choose these unattended settings like the time zone, and then choose the domain so that this deployment will auto join the domain for me. And the next thing, I will choose how many desktop I want to create. I specify 3, okay, for this example. And then the PC name, which I'm going to actually deploy, you can actually prefix with some suffix join together. Okay, so you have the preview of the PC name later. So next to virtual, select the virtual desktop allocation, and then specify the path where you want to store the virtual desktop, the disk. Okay. So here I will put the separate path to store the parent disk. Okay, so next. Okay. Okay, one thing I want to highlight here, I have enabled this auto rollback. Okay, this is one of the features which I'm going to demo in later time. So the next is to provide the path to store the user profile disk. Okay, so once done, just click the create. Okay, so after done the creation, okay, sorry. After done the creation, what happened? Okay. So after the creation completed, you can see that the deployment actually auto deploy the VM for me, 3 units, and I have enabled this auto rollback. Okay, if I go to the Hyper-V manager, I can see that 3 virtual machines actually created. Okay, so this is how this widget help me to auto deploy the virtual machine. So you can specify the quantity that it will auto create for you. Okay, so the next is we show how the VDI connection work. Okay, so from Windows 11, okay, simply open the browser, okay, connect using the server name followed by /rdweb, then key in the credential. Okay, so from here you can see that the collection name, right? So just click that collection, then open file, then click connect, then you will actually open the virtual desktop for you. Okay, so if I switch to the VDI server, I open the server manager, I can see that, yeah, this user actually connected to the co-PC3. So this is the pool-based deployment, as the next user connect is user 3 is on the co-PC1. Then after a while, maybe wait, then another user connect again, user 4 is on the PC2. So this pool deployment actually has no dedicated PC for each user. So it means that it's like free sitting. So and the connection is random. Like user 1, when the time it connect in, it can be on the PC1 or can be on the PC3 or can be on the PC2. It depends on the system actually auto assigned to you. Okay, so this is how the connection works. And it doesn't matter what you actually connect to each PC. Actually, all the content you will get back your data. Later, I will tell you what I mean by this one. So I already show you how you can connect to the virtual desktop, okay, with the VDI. The next thing I'm going to show this VDI plus the session-based remote as Mac method. What it means, huh? Let's take a look. Okay, now I'm at the PC3 and log in using user 1. And from here, I can see that a few icons. I double click this auto count, then I can actually use the auto count, just like a desktop apps. I open this Excel, then I can use the Excel. Okay, so same like Microsoft Word. I double click Word, then I can use the Microsoft Word. Okay, so all this is not installed to the PC, and how actually I do it. Okay, I log in from the browser to this rdweb. Okay, and I sign in. I can see this, right? So for each icon, I just download them. How to download? Just click it, then you can see that it's downloaded. So next, I download this Excel, download this Word. Okay, so I'm going to rename them. Okay, just open this folder and then rename this icon one by one. For this example, auto count, I rename it to the auto count RDP. And then Excel, I name it to the Excel.rdp. Same thing like the Word. Okay, I change it to the WinWord.rdp. Okay, then after that, just cut it and paste it on the desktop. Okay, so from there, my desktop, I will able to use all these icons. Okay, and this is actually very convenient for the administrator, because administrator no need to manage to help to install the apps one by one into the PC. And instead, using this VDI, administrator can actually do this on the master template and deploy this master template push to all the VDI client. Okay, example here, you see, after, wait, sorry. Okay, so example here, I'm at the PC3 login by the user 1. So the administrator actually already pushed this icon. And then all these PC, like this PC1, user 3, they see the same content. PC2, user 4, they also see the same content. So this is why I mean that it's very convenient. In the VDI environment, the administrator can actually do everything at a template and then use the template to deploy to all the clients so that they can get the same configuration. So this is what I mean. Remote apps can actually help this VDI make it better. Okay. So the next thing is the auto rollback function. In this VDI pool deployment, it comes with this function auto rollback. And what it means, so I'm at the PC2 and log in using user 4. Okay, and this user 4 actually is a friend of the IT help desk. Okay, and then the IT help desk help the people to download this game, Rainbow Web. Okay, and try to install this software. And because if normally it will prompt for the username and the password from administrator, then only IT help desk can actually do this, right? That's why, as a friend, he helped the user 4 to install. Okay, so after install the game, we can see that this game actually appear in this PC. Code PC2 is a PC2. So let's say after that, this user sign out. Okay, the next day he tried to sign in again and want to play the game. What will happen? Let's take a look. Okay, so it's at the same PC, same user. Okay, then he tried to open the game. Oh, no more game, no more. Because this is due to the auto rollback. Each time you sign out from the PC, you will roll back to the original state. Okay, but maybe you will ask, if you roll back to the PC to the original state, how about my data in my profile? Will it lost? No. Okay, let's take a look. So because with this roaming profile, it will make sure that your data you store inside your profile, it won't lost. Okay, example here. So PC3 user 1. Okay, now at the PC3 login by user 1. And then this user 1 actually create a file called hello world, actually and paste in the desktop. Okay, and inside the content is like this. Okay, now this user try to sign out. Okay, now it's PC3, yeah. So the next time he log in is not necessarily must PC3, it can be other PC. Okay, so now the next time he log in is PC2. Okay, but same person. You see the file, everything is still there. Okay, so this is meant by the roaming profile. And remember, each time we set up, right, the RDS, the VDI also, we will have to specify the user profile path. And that is the place where it store those user profiles data. Okay?
That's awesome.
Okay.
All right. Chua,
so, yeah.
Chua, I think we might be running a bit short of time. So maybe we reserve this for the next session.
Okay,
We'll
no
have
problem.
another one in May for sure. All right, so sorry to cut you off there. All right, but I was actually enjoying your demos. It was very good. All right, very good.
Okay. So, okay, pass back to you, Noel.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we have like another 10, 11 minutes to finish off some important content, because at the end of the day, right, the technology may be exciting. It may do exactly what the customer needs and so forth, which is something that you have shown very convincingly, right? So thank you so much for that. But we also need to understand from a IT investment, business decision perspective, right? The technology must also be affordable. Okay, so that part is something that I think will help customers make a decision for RDS or for something else, right? To be fair, there are multiple solutions out there. Now, many people in the past have said that, you know, RDS is nowhere close to some of the other competitors or some of the other solutions like Citrix. But I think RDS has caught up significantly, right? In terms of capabilities, in terms of functionalities, I think we are there today. And of course, aided by the high core count AMD processors, right? The density of virtual machines are higher than ever before. Even in our own testing, we discovered with the very high core count CPUs like the AMD EPIC processors, we can actually do, right, hundreds of virtual machines in a single, right, setup. So as planned, we wanted to cover all the different scenarios, but as mentioned, we will defer those to a next session. So sorry for those of you who was waiting anxiously to see some of these other capabilities. But in order to make sure that we have a balanced view to the solution, we wanted to look at how Microsoft has built in affordability as an architecture, right? Both from a HCI perspective as well as from a virtual desktop perspective, right? If you look at this particular stack, right, we see a number of different components from the HCI perspective with the Hyper-V, with the SDS and the SDN, right, which is something that I showed you earlier. And if you're building in Windows Server data center into the mix, right? You get the unlimited Windows Server virtual machine, right? And of course, you need the hardware, right? The various different models of HPE server hardware that is important for this, right? And it's timely at this point to show you very quickly what are some of those models that are available. Okay, so to do that, obviously there is a very appropriate site. Okay, that site is called the Azure HCI catalog. So let me quickly jump into that site. All right. Okay, so let's browse the catalog. And let's pick the HPE service. And the latest edition, if you want, based on what Gregor was talking about, is the Green Lake solution, right? And out of which there are actually 4 solutions available, essentially 4 different configurations, right? From small to medium to large and extra large, right? In this particular scenario at this point in time, it's an all NVMe flash offering, right? But it offers various different storage sizes, right? Based on the different configurations and the maximum storage and so forth, depending on needs of customers, obviously, right? Through their study, right? This is what they are able to do. In the next session, I'll show you how you can do your own sizing using this calculator as well in this particular part of the catalog, right? At least for now, you know what are some of the offerings available, but more importantly, what are the different models of service? Okay, so if you go into this catalog, you can see that HP has an extensive range, right? From both the the multiple versions, and I'm sure Eric would have talked about the DL385, the 325s, right? The single socket with the 325 and the dual socket with the 385 available across the different generations, right? As you can see, HP is probably one of the few that have multiple generations over the last few years supporting VDI in a very significant way. Okay, so that takes us to that part of it, right? So how do we compare, if you want, right, from a perspective of other solutions that's out there? Okay, I'm sure many of you know there's this solution called Nutanix, and there's also this solution called VMware vSAN, all right, from a HCI perspective. Now, without saying, the ones that has the most number of dollar signs would probably be the more expensive one, considering Azure HCI, with if you're running it with Windows Server, you pay for the hardware, you pay for Windows Server, and optionally you pay for System Center if you want System Center. Right, comparing this versus this, you can see that for sure Azure HCI will be more affordable. But how so specifically? Let's look at it from the perspective of the Azure HCI OS, the dedicated OS portion, currently version 21H2. If you're just using it with the HPE service, you have nothing else to pay if you're just running open source operating system as well as application. If you're running a small number of Windows Server virtual machine, you can see that you can even go with standard edition, because as you say, HCI 21H2 is a full-fledged HCI solution that gives you the hypervisor, the software-defined storage, and the SDN, right, with the HPE service. If you go with Data Center Edition, obviously you can have hundreds and hundreds of Windows Server virtual machines together with that. But how about VDI in this particular offering? If I fit in RDS from the perspective of what Chua Short talked about, right? Standard Edition is actually a very applicable SKU for that purpose, because you really don't need a lot of remote desktop virtual machines to support this. So we believe that using this approach, we potentially have the most affordable, all right, VDI solution money can buy. Now, let me show you why. Okay, don't take my word for it. Okay, so we actually have 3 possibilities in terms of configuration that can help us achieve the purpose. The first one is the one I talked about with Standard Edition. Obviously, you can also do VDI with the Data Center Edition in the mix, so that gives us a second. All right, and of course, the third is where we use the Windows Server 2022 Data Center all right, and we license VDA together with it, which is something that we also need to do in the previous 2 SKUs, and that gives us the third. We have 3 distinct way of achieving VDI. 2 of those are using the newer Azure HCI 21H2, and of course the third is the one using Windows Server 2022 Data Center Edition. And of course, all the respective CALs apply. And Chua also showed you how we actually insert in the RDS CAL product key, right, to achieve that purpose. So if I were to look at the Data Center Edition, right, the 2022 Data Center Edition, in a 32-core CPU, AMD CPU, and we have 2 nodes of those, okay? So total number of Data Center Editions, if you want, will turn out to be 4 sets. Okay, 1 base license of 16 and then the additional 16 core. And we need 2 of those, okay, because we have 2 nodes. If we are licensing it for 20 Windows Server, rather 20 users, and these 20 users also need 20 virtual desktop, right? Using the retail pricing that you can find on the Microsoft website, you will discover that the initial investment, which is what I call CapEx here, for the 4 data center, the user and RDS CALs comes up to just over 28,000, just under 28,500 US. But there is still a VDA component for the OPEX that you need to factor in. The VDA gives you the virtual desktop, all right, and it's licensed on a subscription basis on the per year. It's 100 US per year per user if you want, right? So if you have 20 users, you have 2,000 per year for VDA. So this is the amount. So keep that at the back of your mind. You have 28,000 approximately for the upfront, and on a yearly basis, you pay 2,000. So what if I took out the HCI from Windows Server 2022 and I replace that with Azure HCI 21H2? You can see very clearly from here, the CapEx has dropped because, as mentioned, we don't need a lot of Windows Server specifically for VDI. So I can use standard edition to achieve that purpose. It's dropped to about 7,700 plus. So it's about a quarter, approximately a quarter of the CapEx compared to the other. But the OPEX obviously has gone up significantly. We went up from 2,000 to 9,680, about 5 times. Okay, but why is this significant? Is because we give customer choice. A choice where customer prefers a CapEx approach for VDI, they will choose Windows Server 2022 data center for the HCI capability. Then they layer on top of that the VDA and the RDS CALs and so forth to get the full-fledged VDI, or they use this approach, which is a OPEX friendly, or rather a CapEx friendly, but an OPEX heavy approach. This subscription, a cloud-based approach, if you want. Both give you actually a very affordable. If you take that over a 3-year period, right, both solution, I guarantee you, will be more affordable than any of the competition out there. Okay, so that pretty much takes us to the end of our session. Hopefully, we are spot on time, right? Because I didn't want to take this further. Firstly, it's a Friday, right? And secondly, it's fasting month, right? I want to respect my Muslim friends around the region who are connecting with us. But I want to end this session by telling you that next Friday, we have an opportunity to share a more holistic view around HCI in the Azure community event for Singapore, right? I know this is for Singapore, right? And many of us are Malaysians. Let's not allow the country borders stop us from learning, right? I think that's an important part. It's only an hour session, so I'm just asking for an hour of your time. The team and myself, so it'll be Chua, Linus, Ko, and myself, we will be covering that content here. So we try to make it as demo-oriented as possible. There'll be very few slides, right? And there'll be lots and lots of demos. And this session will be streamed live through YouTube as well. By the way, this session, we have got it recorded and we will be making it available on YouTube in the YouTube channel, right? Stay tuned for those of you who miss out content. And I would like to appeal to you to share the content extensively to all your colleagues, and we'll be blasting it out to hundreds and thousands of the people who have followed us in the past which I think with the opening, some of them are struggling to join all the various different sessions. So I'm not upset if people can't make it, right? I'm excited that some of you did, right? And I urge you to expand the learning further beyond yourself, okay? And just to finish that off, I saw something very interesting, and this is an important way to continue with the learning. Just like in the spirit of this user group, right? Microsoft has started this thing called Learn Life, right? And currently they're going through an Azure Hybrid Cloud Study Hall, led a lot by someone I admire a lot, Thomas Maurer, right? So he's leading this from an Azure HCI perspective. So I'd like to urge you to continue with the learning. So that takes me to the end of the session. Any questions? Anything that we did not cover, anything that you feel that you needed some additional clarification and so forth, right? Okay, if there are no questions, all right, I'm going to end here. We're going to stop the recording, all right? And hope to see you again next time, all right? Hope you enjoyed the demo the team has put together. I found both course demo on ARC plus also the RDS demos that Chua did really, really interesting, right? And I appreciate you making the time for this session. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful, blessed weekend. All right, take care, and please help us fill out the feedback form. We love to hear from you. All right, and we always appreciate honest feedback. Okay, thank you, everyone. Take care. God bless. See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Danny. Thank you, Eric.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Gregor. Thank you. Take care. Thanks, Ko. Thank you, Chua. Thanks, Linus. Bye.